The SRX race has officially concluded from Berlin Raceway, and we see some fun but really clean racing up front, and we see Kyle Busch pick up the victory for the second week in a row. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching the SRX race from Berlin Raceway. We got quite a bit to talk about from this race. Let's go and talk about it. So let's start with heat number one. Heat number one was pretty much dominated by two drivers, that being Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch actually won the pole for heat one. He would dominate early, but inevitably Brad Keselowski saved his stuff, and he would get to the lead eventually and pass Kyle Busch to win heat number one. Kyle Busch tried to close in near the end, but he's able to get by. Kyle Busch was able to get close, but Brad Keselowski won heat number one. Heat number two was a much better heat, in my opinion, but not by much. It was really, really fun race, and they actually had the latest start of that because of rain that affected the area. There was a little bit of lighting in the area as well. But heat number two was really, really fun. You basically had 2 or 3 cars that were going for the win at heat number two. You had Ken Schrader, who had the race, who got by Tony Stewart, had a terrible race and really didn't have a good race this weekend at Berlin. You had Ryan Newman, who came out of nowhere on a restart, and you had Hailie Deegan up there in third position, having one of the better cars in this race as well. It came down to those three. Ryan Newman inevitably, though, was able to pass Ken Schrader, and he went on to win heat number two. Then we get to the main event, and there are 3 main players that play a role in this event. You have 3 drivers, that being Helio Castroneves, Brad Keselowski, and Kyle Busch. Because of the fact that Ryan Newman also was up there as well, he actually won the pole for the race, but he faded throughout the day because his car was not that good, especially on the long run. There are a couple of fun flags that came into play, and all of a sudden, Helio Castroneves, who was like 6th or 7th on a restart, jumped all the way up front and was able to get to the race lead. Inevitably, though, Kyle Busch passed Helio Castroneves, I think about 30, 40 laps to go, and was able to take off for the lead. There were a couple of fun flags near the end of heat, basically the end of this, but Kyle Busch was able to go on and hold off the field. Keselowski tried to make a little bit of charge, but it would not matter as Kyle Busch would come off the final corner and pick up a second straight SRX victory this weekend at Berlin. What a great racer, Kyle Busch. He wasn't great in the beginning of the main event, but he saved his tires and saved his stuff with how long the green flag runs were in this event, and Kyle Busch did an amazing job to get by both drivers, being Brad Keselowski and Helio Castroneves for the lead. Inevitably, Kyle Busch was able to hang on and get the win. Kyle Busch proving he's having a fantastic year in 2023. He's obviously won 3 NASCAR Cup races this year. He's won 2 truck races, now has 2 SRX wins. He's going for the record of the most wins in the SRX in history of this series. Now, I don't think he's going to be running any more SRX races this year, but Kyle Busch had a very great car. I picked him coming into the weekend on the podcast because I thought it was a really, really fun, basically in the comments, I'd say, picked him to win because I expected Kyle Busch to be fast and quick, and nonetheless, Kyle Busch picks up the victory. Mass congratulations to Kyle Busch. I would love to see Kyle Busch full-time in the SRX next year because I think Kyle Busch would be really fun to have him race. Nonetheless, congratulations to Kyle Busch on picking up the win in the SRX. So now we're going to look at the race results, and I'll give you my score, my thoughts on this race. So Kyle Busch picks up the victory. Brad Keselowski finishes second. Keselowski looked really, really good throughout the race in heat one. And heat number two is one of the few cars that could get through the field. And inevitably gets a very strong second place finish. I thought he was going to win tonight, but nonetheless, a great night for Brad Keselowski in second place. Ryan Newman finishes third. Ryan Newman was fast in the beginning, struggled in the middle of the race, but that car came into play especially late. Those cautions definitely helped him for sure that we'll talk about here later in this. But nonetheless, a fantastic run for Ryan Newman in third place. Marco Andretti finishes fourth. Marco Andretti was in 12th or 11th most of the night. But what he was doing was saving his tires. And he would save his tires so much that he drove all the way up from 12th position all the way up to 4th place. Very impressive for Marco Andretti, one of his most impressive runs this year in 2023. Great run for Marco Andretti. Hailie Deegan finishes 5th. Her best run by a wide margin in the SRX this year. This is a really good confidence booster going into the playoffs with the Trucksters. Granted, she's not in the playoffs this year, but Hailie Deegan, I feel, has been forming a little bit better in respect to series she's been running. Was really good in the heat races. She had generally held her own. Bracey ran top 5 pretty much all night in the event. Congratulations to Deegan getting a top 5 finish. One of her better runs of the year so far in any respective series. Ken Schrader finished at 6th. Basically was in contention to win heat number 2. Car came in near the end of the race. Nonetheless, a fantastic run for Schrader in 6th place. Tony Stewart finished at 7th. Tony Stewart struggled all night. They made the car definitely improved near the end of the race, but Tony Stewart never was a threat. He finished 7th. Helio Castroneves finishes 8th. He had one of the strongest cars early in the race. Unfortunately, his car faded near the end because I think got some damage from content for guys like Kevin Harvick near the end of the race. But Castroneves finishes 8th. I thought he was going to have a chance to win tonight here at Berlin. Very similar track to Five Flags. nonetheless, so good run for Cash Neves and 8th, but not a great run. Bobby Labonte finished 9th. Labonte was about a 6th, 7th place car, but the car faded near the end, and that's why he dropped from 6th all the way back to 9th place. Kevin Harvick finished 10th. Tough rate for Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick had a top 3 or 4 car a lot of this event. I thought he was actually going to get up there and be like the old self he was when he was the closer in the Cup Series. Thought he was going to be the closer. Seeing the car fell off on some of the restarts. Kasey Kahne finishes in 11th. Kasey Kahne was probably the worst performing driver in the SRX tonight. It was really good to see Kasey Kahne racing the SRX this weekend. It just felt like Kasey Kahne did not have a good car. The car was terrible and really, really slow. He finishes 11th. And finishing last in 12th place, we have Johnny Benson. Now, Johnny Benson was really good in the first heat and was pretty solid in the second heat as well. Unfortunately, his car was never good after the rain came through and a delay happened. I feel like Johnny Benson's car faded near the end, and he ends up finishing in 12th place in the main SRX event. So now, let's talk about the overall SRX race as a whole, and I'll give you my thoughts and score on this race. I think this has been the best SRX race of the 2023 season. Both heats were straight up really, really fun, amazing, and you have a bunch of big wrecks in the heats. And in the main event, you had some contact near the end, but for the most part, a lot of drivers doing a really good job managing their tires. But I feel like the racing was really, really good tonight. I think Berlin as a track, I really think has become a very good track. They've done a lot of great things at the track. I think Berlin's put on some pretty good racing and respect the series that it's had on. And I thought tonight's racing was very, very good and really, really entertaining. My score of tonight's SRX event is going to be a 9.5 out of 10. Now, I would give this race a perfect 10 out of 10 score, if not for the fun flags. I want to talk about the fun flags. I am not a fan of them. I understand the SRX can do whatever they want, but there were 4 fun flags in this race, and there were 2 fun flags in the last 20 laps of this race. I just feel like the fun flags are a little bit unnecessary considering you want to get into the time window. When you have these fun flags that come out, you potentially put this race past its TV window. I think they did a pretty decent job tonight in other races, but if you keep bringing fun flags out, you're going to send this race a little bit longer. And I get that they want to have a really good finish near the end and they want to have a little bit of excitement because that's what the SRX is supposed to be, is supposed to create a lot of excitement and a lot of good racing. But in my honest opinion, I don't want to see a bunch of chaos and a bunch of cars wrecked because of a bunch of fun flag restarts. When they're having 2 fun flags in the last 20 laps, they're asking for a lot of destruction. And Don Hawk has said publicly, and spoken to drivers meeting last week in Motor Mile, that he didn't want a bunch of chaos. But when you have a bunch of fun flags and cautions for that, you're going to get a lot of wrecks, unfortunately, potentially. But luckily tonight, there wasn't a bunch of wrecks that happened, and it was a very good race overall. For sure, the best SRX race. I really hope there's some conversation about getting rid of the fun flag rule or reducing it to a limited number of fun flags. I feel like there should only be 1 or 2 at the most for the events. I would understand for 2, but they have had a lot of fun flags these last couple weeks, and I'm just sick and tired of seeing these fun flags every single week. That's my only negative for the SRX, because other than that, I thought tonight's race was really, really good, and I would love to see Berlin come back to next year's schedule in 2024 if the SRX does return next year, because I thought tonight's race was pretty exciting. So, that is going to be it for the SRX race view from Berlin Raceway. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. List goes over that, and comment your thoughts on today's race. What are your thoughts on tonight's SRX race? Let me know below. Let me know your score in the comments below. And congratulate Kyle Busch going back-to-back in the SRX race at Berlin. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on this channel, we have a NASCAR news. We got some NASCAR news that we need to discuss over the last couple of days. Then on Saturday, I'll have the NASCAR Xfinity Series race view from Michigan. And pending the weather, there may be a 2024 silly season or driver lineup predictions on the channel. Or there could also potentially be the race as well. We'll have to wait and see with the weather. We got a lot of content droppings. We all should get you ready, prepared for the Indy Road Course weekend. That week is going to be really, really exciting. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and SRX content like this on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.